welcome along to a special extra time edition of the Huddle Breakdown. And why is it special? Because you're stuck with just us two big dopes again. The flu is running rampant through Huddle Breakdown headquarters once again. Our good friend Martin, we wish him well. He is bedridden today. Hope he bounces back fast. I think it's because he overdosed on red wine or some other kind of imbibing over the last few days, but that's just my conspiracy theory. Alan, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, soon to be Happy New Year, Happy Festivus, whatever it is you celebrate. Good to see you.
The sun rising every day in the sky is good enough for me. But I think Martin's been the same since he went to see Charlie Nicholas. I mean, it's purely coincidental, I'm sure. But
causation and correlation, we talk about it endlessly.
Yeah, there you go.
We can't be sure. Well, we're going to dive into a few topics today. Probably won't be quite as long as usual, given that we're in a holiday spirit and looking to slack off and sleep in and eat too much and drink too much. But so we're going to touch on the Dundee United game a little bit because we didn't really discuss that with Idah early in the week. And we're going to talk about Kyogo and all of the discussion that's been circulating around him, and maybe some looking towards the derby as far as selection questions that are resurgent, it seems anyway, among some corners of the Celtic ecosystem. And then we'll revisit the Motherwell game, and then maybe talk about some delight over the meltdown that continues. Are we on? Some people are counting days at this point. It's we're going to run out of. I don't know. I can't count that high. We're getting into double digits now. So we'll probably touch upon the continuing saga that's going on there with refereeing and all that fun. So let's start with the Dundee United game. Just as a reminder for those that have been in and out of consciousness various times since last weekend, the 0-0 draw, the face-ripping, exciting game with 50-mile-an-hour winds, nary a chance to be had and harvested. A couple of big misses that people have been talking about that we'll get into with Kyogo. But Alan, what are your memories of that all those many days ago?
I've slept since then, thankfully, so very little. Listen, it was again, not going to get into any depth on this because it was a long time ago, and I've got other things to talk about. But just a few observations, really. One is that very aware with games like that of clearly not a great result, not a great performance, dominated the game. Having said all that, if you start to talk about the weather and the pitch and all those things, are you making excuses for the team? Are you truly being sort of analytically pure and neutral in terms of being balanced about these things? These, believe it or not, all the things that try and kind of go through your head when you're trying to sort of assess a game like that and comment on it. You don't expect the wind, especially, to have the impact on a professional game as it would on like a kids game, for example. So I'm still into my like 18th year of taking my kids to their football at grassroots level and so forth. So I know the wind has an incredibly material effect on even under 18 and above levels. So but I think you can't say it didn't. I mean, and also you add to that the pitch, which was I guess a bit lively in terms of the ball flying off it, a bit fiery really. And then a team that was very well organised defensively and was just basically Jim McGoodwin was trying to recreate what he'd done that time at Aberdeen when Celtic went up to Pittodrie, and I think McGregor scored in the 86th minute with quite a long range shot. And Celtic won 1-0, and Aberdeen had virtually never been outside their half the whole game. And Goodwin just set up the team to get a 0-0 from the very start. It was very similar to what he tried to do here, and he was successful. So I'm just, you don't want to be disrespectful to what they were trying to do. You don't want to be giving Celtic excuses because they're your team. But there were a lot of changes as well, obviously, in terms of 5 changes. Some of the whole right side, which has been very productive, of Johnstone and Kuhn weren't in the team. We gave McCowan a chance, and I thought he was actually pretty wasteful, but he wasn't alone in that. And Kyogo got moved here, there, and everywhere. I think he ended up on the right wing eventually. played the whole game. But I just think sometimes you have to accept that the confluence of appalling conditions to play football in, plus an opponent whose only objective is to stop you from scoring, plus the state of the pitch, plus a slew of injuries and absences, you just have to accept it was one of those days. And the positives you take from it are you didn't really concede many chances, if anything, and no, I don't think anyone got injured. So that was probably as much as I want to say about that.
Yeah, the only statistical aspects that I'll throw in there, at least from what I saw, is that you were, depending on the XG model, you were kind of in the danger zone of our, you know,
Yeah,
that one
of
XG. So
course.
again, that's just the analytical point. That's
Well, actually, sorry, James. That was the one interesting aspect of it. Was post game the XG models were hugely
very
variant
disperse.
in terms of yeah, and I think that's to do with the type of shots and like for example, they didn't even count Kyogo's. You know, the one that Kyogo was through and he went left foot, right foot,
Right.
but he actually got a shot off. The keeper had to make a save, and the XG models I saw didn't even count that as a shot, and that has a huge impact because he was
It's
1-on-1 with
close.
the keeper, and if the ball had gone through the keeper's legs rather than hit the keeper's legs, that would have been a goal. So why is that not a shot?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's a question about the metaphysical, Alan, as we talk about what is a shot. We don't do we even know. The other part was, so I think that I had talked about in the preview for the match, how little the ball has been in play at um, at Dundee United games when they're home. And the interesting part was it's actually kind of a normal game from that perspective, even with the conditions and even with the state of the pitch. And I think the big reason for that, when I kind of patched that game back together, was how passive they were. They really did set up, and in a way that is not like, this isn't how they've been playing most of the season. So they set up, to your point, kind of narrow, compact, and passive. And that it's hard to drag people out of position.
We hope you enjoyed this free preview from all of us here at the Huddle Breakdown. We know you have options and we really appreciate you tuning in. To hear the rest of this episode and for much more Huddle Breakdown content, head on over to www.huddlebreakdown.com. We hope you consider subscribing. Thank you.